religious and cultural bias, and he said his victory is a victory for Lagosians and not his own personal victory.
That's a sweet speech, if you ask me.
Said,
and then we have that speech which will be showing to the people much later in the program. But another thing I saw here is that Ajimobi breaks second-term jinx because it seemed like
your state, governor stays there twice.
You know. So it's the first time for Oyo State to have a governor coming back for the second time. So that means he's a favorite with the people.
Yes, he is.
For them to have returned him to power. And then PDP petitions INEC. I think that should be some states or maybe nationally.
Where they didn't win.
Yeah. So, well, to get details of these and more, you can get a copy of the Guardian newspaper.
Well, away from the Guardian, the next paper we are reviewing this morning is the Punch newspaper, making front page. APC wins in 13 states, PDP victorious in 4. The riders Ambode, Ajimobi, Amosun, Tambuwal, others win. Ribadu, Yero, Agbaje flowed in governorship poll. Imo result inconclusive. Abia deadlocked. That's on pages 4 and 5. You can get those details. And there as a pictorial of all the major winners starting from Ambode, and of course a statistical representation of how the polls played out yesterday. More stories making front page. My ministers must declare assets, says Buhari on page 5. Oshoyinka observers condemn reverse polls. You can get details of that story on page 15. Protests in Lagos, really, Kwara, Kogi, Akwa Ibom, Delta State, pages 2, 22, and 23. Above the masthead, go to tribunal. INEC tells aggrieved candidates and parties. And of course, you can get the details of that story on page 18. Well, Jim, what do you think of this particular one?
In fact, that one caught my attention very, very fast. Says my ministers must declare assets. Says Buhari. Well, I think Buhari has a reputation for sincerity and incorruption, integrity. So I guess that's one of his game plans on what he's going to do concerning having a transparent government, because with time, we began to miss out or lose out on some of these things that we'd been doing prior to this time that made ministers, declare their assets, let's know what they have, so that at the end of the day, when you have more than you should have, you'll be able to be brought to book and questioned on these things. So I think it's a step in the right direction to have a transparent administration.
Okay, and then again, we're seeing the protests in Lagos, Kwara, Kogi, Akwa Ibom, and Delta State. Well, let's just talk about Lagos briefly. The protest, was it on the outcome of how the Guba elections went, or is it just some people that didn't win the House
yesterday, I think they said something about Ojodu and Ojota axis, and well, I guess it should be party members between the APC and the PDP. It should be between them. Maybe they are not happy about the results from their local government, because actually on the program yesterday, while we were on election update, we had a call from Badagry and Ikorodu. The callers were insisting that it's not possible for APC to have won in those areas, in those local governments, that it is not possible. So, such statements could incite violence, because they feel that, this party shouldn't have won in this area,
Well, but then, as it is, what we always preach, what we've been preaching from day one is peace. As INEC has said, if you're not satisfied, go to
the tribunal. I think one of our guests yesterday also actually reiterated on that fact that if anyone is not satisfied, this thing has a process. Go to court, but ensure that you have adequate evidence to back up your case. So let's do things right. Go to court if you know that you have issues with the election results.
That's as much we can take from the Punch.
All right, let's look at the Nigerian Tribune, and the major headline there says, APC in sweeping victory. APC in sweeping victory. And we have riders there. Ajimobi, Amosun, Ambode, Ahmed, Tambuwal, 10 others confirmed winners. Ajimobi breaks second-term jinx. I think it's all on and on. The same thing we had in the Guardian newspaper. Well, you find details of that on pages 5, 6, 8, 10, and 43 of the Nigerian Tribune. And then we have a list of the pictures of the governors-elect there in the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. And then other stories we have here. 66 violent cases recorded during Saturday's polls. That's coming from INEC. It says, free, feared, killed as APC PDP supporters clash in Lagos. That you find on page 6 and 45 of Nigerian Tribune. Tension in Abia as PDP ABGA disrupt collation of results. I think up till now the results in Abia is still pending. It's still pending, you know. So we are still waiting for that and see whether it will be declared inconclusive or whatever. Right. So we await for that.
Well, away from that one, we'll move to the next paper this morning, and The Nation is where we are moving to. Well, making front page this morning, Ambode Ajimobi, Ahmed, Amosun, others win polls. What the writers there, Tambuwal Otom Owani elected, still on that, Tinubu hails Agbaje's good spirit, in quote. Well, there's also a pictorial of some of the winners of the elections of on Saturday. All above the masthead Ekiti Labour Party, INEC colluded with PDP to rig elections. Or Tambuwal extends hands of fellowship to opponents. Protest in Akwa Ibom over killings, ballot boxes snatching. Or Niger Delta will support Buhari, says ex-militant leader Ateke. Or below, coming down there, foreign observers, Rivers elections bloody, fraudulent, or monitors disappointed at Rex declaration of sham results. While other stories on the red strip here, ex-UIVC Tamono dies at 83. EU, that's the European Union, seeks new tax regime for rich Nigerians. Well, let's just
these are usual foreign observers.
Yeah. The river. I don't know why is it always about rivers.
You know, even after the election results in for the presidential election was declared in Rivers, there's been issues since then. And I remember that even before the Guba election, they insisted, the people insisted, I don't know, is it PDP or APC? I think it was APC, that were insisting that the REC, the REC, should be removed, that because she's already compromised. And then, but of course, nothing was done before this Guba election. And so now for foreign observers to say that Rivers election is bloody and fraudulent, I think it's a very strong issue. But the results have been declared already.
The writer here says monitors disappointed at Rex declaration. They described it as sham result. Invariably, no one is actually satisfied with what has been declared in Rivers
Because
State.
all this is the first time we're having foreign observers actually making a negative comment about this election, because all we've been hearing from them is all good, you know, but now we have something negative coming from the foreign observers. So, well, I guess the tribunal is there to sort out the issue in Rivers State. All right. I think there's one other story there that caught my attention. I think that's the one on Ekiti Labour Party.
Okay.
Says INEC colluded with PDP to rig elections, because you know PDP actually won all the
swept
seats.
The polls.
The same thing at the presidential elections. In Ekiti.
You know, Ekiti has always been like a flashpoint. Even before the elections, where we heard of the alleged rigging, the tape scenario that indicted some people. Afterwards, the ABC lawmakers coming to Lagos and returning after the presidency moved to the All Progressives Congress, and the governor there been given a letter of impeachment and everything. There's been so much drama.
There's been so much drama in Ekiti State, you know, because even yesterday when the result was declared that PDP actually swept all the seats, and excluding one, which they said was still pending as at yesterday. I was like, again. Well, that's it from Ekiti State. Well, let's move on to the Daily Trust newspaper. And the screaming headline there says, Ambode, Tambuwal, El-Rufai, Umahi win. Ribadu, Agbaje, Yero concede. Well, that's in the spirit of sportsmanship. Everyone is conceding. Well, ministers, others must declare assets, says Buhari. Oba Akiolu, Tinubu, Fashola hail Ambode's win. Of course, there's a great jubilation in the APC camp here in Lagos.
Since yesterday,
Since yesterday,
one party or the other.
One party, in fact, before it was even declared, the party had started.
You can say that again. I can attest to that.
All right, the other stories in the Daily Trust says 55% killed in Guba assembly elections, and that's from NHRC. You find that on page 7. 19-year-old woman trapped in body of 2-year-old. I think that one is a mystery that you would like to know the details on page 49 of the Daily Trust. A 19-year-old woman trapped in the body of a 2-year-old. Budget delay, polls slow down activities in ministries. You find that on page 25 of the Daily Trust.
Well, away from the Daily Trust, we'll now move on to the Nigerian pilot. The Guba elections are all over the papers, front pages. Guba elections, Wike sacks Amechi, that actually they actually put their main thrust on River State or Guba elections. Wike sacks Amechi. Well, with the riders Udom, Ugwani, Dankwambo, Odom win, Ribadzo Yero Agbaje crash out. You can get details of that story on page 4. On the red strip, PDP wins Ekiti Ondo assembly elections. APGA secures Anambra. Also in the news, DSS sets to quiz Oba of Lagos over hate speech. Or you can find details of that story on page 6. Presidential post, Jonathan didn't induce us with 12 billion naira. That's according to the JNI. You can get details of that story on page 6. Also in the news, 5 killed in a Enugu collapsed building. The factors not ready to make sacrifice, say Adeyeye and Adebayo. Well, Lagos PDP accuses INEC of accrediting APC voters without PVCs. NATCOM Consortium pays 29.7 billion naira for NITEL MTEL. Renowned historian Tekena Tamno dies at 83. Well, what actually grabbed my attention here is the DSS set to quiz Oba of Lagos over hate speech. Well, yesterday the Oba was in the news saying that he's actually been vindicated.
Yeah, and he actually also said that people took it wrongly. People took it out of context. People blew it out of proportion, you know. And well, if the DSS are set to quiz him, I think it's a step in the right direction to further show that no one is above the law in Nigeria. All right, moving to the last paper with me here, The Union. PDP trails APC on the hall. PDP trails APC on the hall. People's Democratic Party has lost grounds in state holdings as APC leads it on the tally. Yeah, that's just talking about APC winning more states than the PDP. Well, other stories there says Guba polls, INEC records 66 violent incidents. INEC records 66 violent incidents. Polls, winners should be magnanimous, says Abubakar. Well, he was the one that coordinated the peace accord signed between Jonathan and Buhari. So he's further saying that winners should be magnanimous, of course, in conceding to defeat. On the business scene, we have something on the Naira. Markets rebound as election outcome excites investors and operators. Immediately after the presidential election,
our stocks, our stock market just picked up.
Everything picked up, and well, we thank God for that. So they are further saying that markets rebound as election outcome excites investors and operators. You find that story on page 35. And finally, in sports, Awoni's Brace sends dream team to AAG. You find that on page 52 of the Union newspaper.
Well, the final paper we have here this morning is the Western Post newspaper. Well, the main story here, Oyo, Ajimobi breaks second term jinx, Ambode scales through Lagos. Well, stories on pages 2 and 3. Well, the Rider Southwest State Assembly results, Amosun wins Ogun and Ladoja Akala for Larry went to battle separately. Significance of Igbo votes in Lagos, a myth. Well, you can find out if you get a copy of the Western Post. How Emir of Ilorin reconciled Bukola Gbemi Saraki on page 3. If you want to find out how, we'll grab a copy of the Western Post. Also on Crime Watch, Ife Dore, APC chairman, strangulated to death on pages 24 to 25. Jonathan's concession of defeat, the untold story on page 5, where you can get details on that story there. 66 violent incidents recorded in Saturday's polls, but that's according to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.